Trying to get it on LinkedIn. I think we're working. Yay. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thrilled to have you here. So I want to welcome you all because this is my favorite thing is I get to talk to entrepreneurs who are writing books to help them grow their business. And I've got a great panel with me today. We happen to also be right in the middle of the Kindle flash sale. So if you haven't checked it out yet, more than 30 entrepreneurs like these two have lowered their Kindle book price to 99 cents through this Thursday. Go to kindleflashsale.com. And yes, I'm super excited I got that domain. It might be the way I retire. Go to kindleflashsale.com. And without any further delay, let me get us into this week's episode. You poured your heart into your manuscript, and now you're holding the keys to a whole new adventure. Publishing doesn't close a chapter. It flips a page to the part where your book truly comes alive. Turning your words into a printed or digital book is just the beginning of your author odyssey. The real magic happens when you connect with readers, spark conversations, and watch your message ripple out into the world. That's why I partner with entrepreneurs to design launch strategies that do more than sell books. They forge genuine bonds. We'll pinpoint who needs your book most, then map out launch events and content that keeps engagement thriving long after day one. Think of your book as a catalyst for business growth, not a one-off product. If you're ready to transform your launch into an engine for influence, let's brainstorm together. Book a complimentary 30-minute session at booklaunchbrainstorm.com, and let's explore how to align your book with your bigger goals. Now, today's panel will dive into real-world lessons from their authors. These folks have walked this road. You'll hear what fueled their successes, where they might have hit a few bumps, and the insights that reshaped their approach. With me today, I have Amanda Slade, who shares her journey with Evolve into Your All, create and live in the fifth dimension of love, joy, and prosperity, a powerful blend of science and spirituality designed to elevate your life and business by tapping into the fifth dimension. We also have Marsha Dawood, who reveals how her book, Do Good While Doing Well, Invest for Change, Reap Financial Rewards, and Increase Your Happiness, equips you to harness angel investing for social impact, financial gain, and personal fulfillment. Please join me in welcoming Amanda and Marsha. Amanda, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the Kindle Flash Sale as well. Since it's your first time doing that, I'd love to hear a little more about who your book was written for and who should be sort of paying more attention to it.
Yeah, thank you, Robbie. And I'm so excited to be here. Who the book is for? It's really those that are already successful in their life, maybe relationships, in their profession, whether they're corporate or entrepreneurs, but they feel like something else is missing, that there could be an easier way, and that they're really tired or exhausted from chasing, from really, efforting to be successful. And what they are looking for is what's a new way of doing business, what's a new way of living life, and really what's that missing piece that can get them to the next level into their life, their relationships, their business.
I think it's so interesting that you're targeting people who already have a little bit of success. Like they're not struggling, but they're not feeling completely fulfilled. And I think that's actually a lot of people, but not a market most people are talking to. So I'm really curious. We'll talk in a moment about that, how people connect to this when you meet with them, because it might be like a big light bulb. Oh, I didn't know what I was missing till I heard that. But first, I want to welcome Marsha to the show. Marsha, tell us a little bit about who you wrote your book for. Who's the ideal reader for it?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Robbie. So I'm an angel investor. And when I went to my very first angel investing meeting in 2012, I had no idea what that was. So this book is all of the things that have happened to me over the last 12 years and the things that I wish somebody would have told me before I got into this angel investing journey. So initially, the book was really written for people who have a certain amount of income or wealth, because that's usually what happens when you find investors. You think, oh, well, they have to be like rich or they have to be well-connected, have a finance degree, all these things. But it turns out that in 2016, the SEC changed the rules, and now anyone can invest for as little as $50 through equity crowdfunding. So really, the book is kind of for anybody that wants to align their money with their values.
This is the part that excites me so much about your book, because I'm a person who, I've had a little extra money over the last few years. Sometimes, it's like everything with entrepreneurships, it's peaks and valleys. But when you have those peaks, you're like, where am I putting it? And a lot of times you don't really control what those investments are. And personally, my philosophy would really be aligned with what you're describing. But until I really heard about your book, I didn't know that I would have access to it. Because when I say I'm making a little money, I don't mean like a $500,000 extra sitting around. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I love that, we're now giving access to a whole much more people to do this. So this is your first book for both of you, but that's not true. Amanda, you've also co-written some books with people, and you
Correct.
both have books in the pipeline. So I want to actually talk about the first book you've ever wrote, and like this one I think is your one on your own. There's a voice inside our heads when we start writing books. And Marsha, I'm curious about how you got, how you spoke back to that voice that said, like, I think for a lot of us, it's like you write a book, did you know other authors? Like, was this like a ready-made idea in your head? Like, how did you get to the point where you didn't just have the idea, but you followed through?
Yeah, such a good question. And no, I never in a million years thought I would write a book. I'm the spreadsheet girl. I want to look at numbers all day and play with that. That's fun to me. This thing about words, I don't know. It didn't really align with me as at first, but I'm getting better. But I started a podcast called The Angel Next Door to try to demystify these things about angel investing, because I would talk to a lot of people and they were just like, no, I don't really understand it. I really don't know how I can get involved. And then from the podcast, I ended up speaking at TEDx Charlotte in 2022. And people said to me, it's really interesting what you're talking about in your TEDx talk, but it was 11 minutes and we still don't get it. So I was like, okay, I see. So we're going to have to write a book. And so that was like, my book was a little bit of a brain dump onto the page of like, hey, these are all the things that I went through. Let me kind of help you navigate so that you don't hit some of the same obstacles.
I love the path you took. I know it wasn't planned out and like a strategy that you intentionally set out to do. But for anyone listening, I would suggest you follow in Marsha's footsteps, because a lot of authors are entrepreneurs who are like, well, I don't want to tell anyone about my big idea because I haven't written the book on it yet. And I'm like, well, how do you know it's a big idea yet? Like, how do you even know people care? Whereas you did a podcast, so you had guests. And not saying everyone has to host their own show. Maybe people go and guest on a lot of shows. Then you got to do a TEDx talk. So you had to talk about there and, of course, crystallize your idea even to get to the point of doing a TEDx talk. And people were like, but we want more. We don't,
right.
So building that audience, that level of interest before you do the effort of writing a book, then you had a ready-made audience. How was the early reception for your book, Marsha?
It was great. But keep in mind that a lot of my early readers and the people who bought the book in the beginning were all of the people who kind of already drank the Kool-Aid, if we want to put it that way, right? They already knew what angel investing was. They were excited to see a book about why somebody would be an angel investor. So there are not a ton of books out there on angel investing in general, but the ones that you will find are all about these. This is what a term sheet is. This is what due diligence means. This is how you evaluate a team or a possible product. But there isn't a lot about like, wait a minute, why would somebody do this? And where do they have to get the money? And like, how does that all align? And does it like fit into my investment portfolio? And my financial advisor understand it? And all of those things. So that part of demystifying was a little bit different. So I think at the beginning, people were, pretty excited about that. But I'll just go ahead and preempt one of your next questions about why I decided to write a second book. Because remember, I'm the spreadsheet girl. I would never wanted to really write a first book, let alone a second. But I think that there is a disconnect in how women especially think about money. And in a lot of the conversations I was having, they were really struggling to get past like, oh, wait a minute, investing. Ooh, that seems kind of scary. And I'm not really sure how to do that. And I usually let my husband do that or my dad or whatever the story is. So that's why the new book is in.
Awesome. Fantastic. Amanda, back to you. I'd love to hear how people connected with your book. Well, also, maybe my first question to you, Amanda, is how you decided that this is the book you needed to write. Like, what was the journey you went on?
So interesting. Earlier, you said, many people might not even know that they're struggling when they're successful. I would say let's demystify that piece, because there's a lot of people struggling out there even while they're successful. I came from 20 years of corporate, and I was a VP of sales and marketing. Looked great on the outside, but on inside, it did not look good. It was one hot mess, so to speak. And so that was in 1997 when my soul literally got me fired from corporate. And so why this book is, over time, in 2001, the Diamond Code Creative System downloaded, which is a system that I teach in the book. And that's what fuses the sacred geometry, science, and spirituality piece together. And it brings a whole nother component of living life and creating and manifesting and so on. But what happens with that is that the book, I developed programs, and I was teaching about the system. And I actually taught a program, and I still am teaching a program called Evolve Your All for the last 4 years. So there was all this content, and it was like, this needs to get out there.
Yeah.
And that's why the book, I'm like, okay, let's take this and flesh it out even more so that people can really understand it, and have a unique tool and a technology and modality that they can use for their healing, their transformation, creation, and manifestation.
It's another great example of how to approach a book. It wasn't so much a book, it was you had content, you had ideas, it had been downloaded to you. Now it was time to share it with others. You started creating programs. Those get piloted and tested and reformed. And eventually you're like, this is good stuff. People are responding to it. They're enjoying it. They're getting results, whatever the outcome is, they're getting it. And then you're like, wow, in the process of creating that program, I created a lot of stuff, and you sort of look around and you're like, wow. And I've had this conversation with a lot of clients where I meet with them and I'm like, you have a lot of ingredients. I'm not sure what you're making yet. And I don't know if you know either, but like, you've got a lot to work with, and they're just so busy creating. I think so many of us are content creators, busy creating content and not necessarily having like a grand plan. In retrospect, maybe it makes a little bit of sense, but like we're just constantly churning things out. So I love the book is a pause in that, because you really have to focus so much effort. So Amanda, how has the early reception been? When did this book come out, and what was the early reception to it?
Yeah, it just came out in May
Yeah,
2025. Yeah, so it's brand new and amazing. Especially my clients or those that have been in our community, the Diamond Code Creator community for years. They're like, thank you. And at first they bought the Kindle, then they went and bought the paperback, because they're like, no, this is something I want on my bookshelf or on my desk or by my bedside. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's been really phenomenal. And what's interesting is now it's like taking it to the next level and reaching new people. And, like what Marcia was saying, I have the ones that drank the Kool-Aid, and yes, they know it and they're super excited and they are sharing it, but now it's that whole next level, right?
Yeah, that's a bigger ongoing marketing plan.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Amanda, for this book, I know you've been a co-author for some other books or contributors from other books. For this book, that was your book, did you have any particular, I guess I'm gonna call them success metrics? Like how were you determining, okay, the book will be successful if blank? Like what was the metrics you were paying attention to? And did it change from when you first started this process to now that you actually have a book in your hand?
Yeah, so I think that's going to evolve, right? And I don't know that I had a success matrix, in place. Of course, it became a #1 international bestseller. I guess I did. I just didn't know it. It came in #1 bestseller in energy healing, spirituality, personal transformation. And for me, and knowing the other authors in that genre, that was being up there with them. That was a sense of success and fulfillment. And I want to keep perpetuating that, because the more people we reach, and especially in these times, people are looking for things. There's so much chaos, confusion, uncertainty. And this book gives them an anchor, a place to ground and connect and center within themselves, and then to know what to do, and what their sovereignty is, and what their reason for being here, what their contribution during this time of uncertainty. And I felt that the book came out in a perfect time, like there's this perfect storm that's going on right now. And
of
that's
course, you also have business related to it, right? Because you have this program you already developed. And so ideally, another metric for you is that it attracts people from the book over. Are you seeing an increase in people joining your email list and inquiring about your program? Is the circle starting to get wider, like you're aiming for?
Yes, it definitely is. And that was part of the piece, is that we wanted to expand the reach globally, and also to have people come in, say yes, and to get more of the tools and the experiences, and actually be mentored in how they can proceed and keep on evolving.
So I am a person who's on record as talking about how #1 bestseller is not like the end all be all. But I will tell you that when your book is in front of other well-known people in a major category like this, you get really excited. I was like, I hit #1 in market research business in front of Malcolm Gladwell and Seth Godin. So I understand. It's like it's not a long-term success. It's a fleeting victory, but it does show you have something compelling, and you're starting to now be like, your name's being, just even getting to say my name in the same sentence as these other people.
Right? Yeah.
Cool. So that's very cool. But I want to talk a little bit with Marsha about reviews, because I'm a big fan of reviews and how they help your book continue to be discovered, because I want our books to have a long shelf life and not gather digital dust, which is my new favorite phrase. I don't know. I keep hearing this phrase, digital dust. I think it's awesome. So, Marsha, what was your, well, first of all, you have a ton of reviews. Let's comment on this part for a second, and then we'll talk about why this is even possible for you. You have 86 global ratings. That's the 1 through 5 stars. You have a 5 out of 5 star rating. So congratulations on that. 84 written reviews. So pretty much everybody who tried to leave a review left you a review. There's always a few that sometimes get hung up a little bit. Wow. Anything over 20 means you made effort. Anything over 50 meant you had a real plan in place. You're going to hit 100 soon. And I say that because you're part of the Kindle flash sale, and part of that is pushing for more reviews. And you've actually got reviews coming in, even in this last couple of months. You've got reviews coming in. I see 3 in July. So, obviously it's continuing to evolve. How did you decide to focus on reviews? Why was it important to you? And what did you do to get so many of them?
Well, I actually had 50 reviews in the first week of the book launching in September of 2024. So I knew, I'd been told by other authors it's something that's really, really important. And I did put a lot of focus there. I personally found that on the launch day, not before, not necessarily after, but on the launch day, people really want to participate. They want to be a part of the celebration of the book coming out, because that was the day that I got the most people to act. And then if they kind of forgot on the launch day and I was following up with them after, some people would follow up and write the review, but that's how I got 50 so fast, was asking. And I had 400 people on my launch team. Yeah. And that was everybody from friends and family to, of course, the people who are a part of the angel investing community that I knew would, help to promote the book. The whole idea of the book is to get more funding into the hands of the entrepreneurs that are creating the innovation we want to see in the world. So that is something that everybody should care about.
Yeah.
And so if we can get help with that, that's really why I was pushing getting more reviews.
So I'm going to review these numbers a little bit and give people who are listening some sense of how this all could fit. So first of all, kudos on the end result. You're going to close in on 100 reviews soon. And by the way, you'll start to see now that you're in the 80s, closing to 100, your book will actually, Amazon will start to push it out in ways you wouldn't have expected. I don't know the exact number. It may not be 100. It's sometimes a little less, but I once got my book emailed out to people as you should read this book. I had people forwarding me books, forwarding my email with my book featured in it. And I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Who reads their Amazon email? I guess those people did. 400 people. So the process that I have, my book just came out, Launch Your Book, An Entrepreneur's Guide, Reviews That Drive Revenue. I'll put this up on the screen. Look at that. I have all my assets waiting for me. This is exciting for me. This is still very new for me. These are my books. I have 4. I never planned to write a book. I maybe thought, okay, I'll write one as a speaker, and that was it. But now I have 4. So I had 450 people on my launch team, and I now have 226 reviews. That getting half the people to write a review in a timely manner took a considerable amount of follow-up and a whole strategy and plan. And I did hear you say you did follow-up. I have a question for you, Marcia. You mentioned on launch day. Is launch day your publication day, or did you have it a little bit after your publication day? I'm just kind of curious how you designed it.
Yeah, I did it on the publication day, and moving forward, I don't know that was the best strategy, because I think if I had waited a little bit, I could have actually gotten more people. But it was like, oh, the book is coming out on this day. This is when it's going to ship from Amazon, and yada, yada, yada. And I didn't find that unless they were part of my inner tribe, that they were necessarily pre-ordering the book. As much. I felt like there was a lot of sales at the launch party on the launch day. I did lower the Kindle price to 99 cents on launch day too, but I had a lot of hardcovers that were sold as well. But also that week of the launch, I was speaking at a lot of places, and I had sponsors who bought the book in bulk to give out at the speaking engagements.
Brilliant plan. Yeah, that part's lovely when the speaking can coincide with the launch plan. So again, for those who are listening, what I do for my process is create an invite list and get people to say yes to joining your launch team and committing to writing a review. That's the first part. Second part is you send them an advanced reader copy. I prefer to do a PDF so that I'm not shipping books everywhere. And I do it through bookfunnel.com, so I can tell whether they actually did download the book. And I give them 4 or 5 prompts to help them write a 2 or 3 sentence review. So make it really, really easy. But for me, publication day is different than launch day. And I like to have 2 to 3 weeks in between, because then people get the 99-cent Kindle book. And the only people who really know that it's available on Amazon would be your launch team. So those 400 people. And then you're like, okay, everybody, let's all row together and move towards this launch day and get the reviews up. And now I don't know why it is incredibly hard to get reviews, because most of us just don't write them. But more than 90% of us check reviews before making a purchase. That's studies have shown, and most of us agree that makes sense. But most of us are not in the habit of writing review all the time for everything. And even me, I make an effort to do that, and I still don't review at literally everything. About 50% is a really good number for a launch team to follow through. I would say mostly it would be closer to a third with a process. So for your next book, we should have a conversation, Marcia, because you have all the you're ready to go, but you just need a little bit more of a process. And you, of course, left me review, so I know you know my process because you read my book. Amanda, I mean, this is all new for you, and so you have the lessons learned from this first book that is only 2 months old. Really, you just got started with it, and I know you got another book in the works, at least starting to be shaped in your head, if not moving forward on it. How are you going to approach reviews now that you're part of the Kindle Flash Sale? You can get reviews for your new book. How are you now thinking about the importance of reviews? And was it really at all part of your process to start with?
It wasn't. Again, this is it was a brand new experience, and luckily I did find a book team to help me bring the book together and help me with some of the final pieces. But I know that, like, I just wrote down some notes, what you just said, like, oh, okay, yeah. We did not have those pieces in place. My book team, I know they did a lot of that, but I didn't do as much upfront. Mine was really just focused on the book and getting it done in the way that I really wanted to get
Yeah.
done, because it was quite a process,
Yep.
because I have so many graphics and
Mm.
the sacred geometry that's in the book and all of that, and the tools that are in the book. It was quite a process putting it together.
I think if you have a takeaway with this, Amanda, it would be in control of what date your book gets released on Amazon and have your launch plan in place for that date, meaning you've done
Yeah,
all the lead up. So I remember for my first book, I reached the point where the book was like moving into editing and formatting, and I was like, wait, this is gonna happen. Like, I don't know. I was like in denial about it. And then I was like, wait, this is a good book. I want people to read this book. And
yeah,
my brain like clicked over, and I realized this date that I had been counting down to in my head as being like this publication date, which was like everything, right? It was like launch date, release date, everything date. I was like, wait a second, that's the beginning of the mark. Oh no, I should have had a plan in place already. Wait, and then
yeah.
I just delayed my publication by 6 weeks. I had 100 reviews within a week of my launch date, my first book, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I gave myself 3 days, Marcia. So I'm like 2 or 3 weeks, 3 days, not enough time, not enough time. Oh, total stress ball. You're both part of the Kindle Flash sale, and I'm thrilled by that. And I'm committed to hosting this 3 times a year. We do it around April, July, and sort of we kick off Cyber Monday. So this year that's December 1st, so late fall. And I have had some pushback from authors and a lot of pushback from publishers about the idea of dropping a book to 99 cents, because clearly our books are more valuable than 99 cents. But both of you have a business behind the book. So, Marcia, what are your thoughts on this? Like, why are you agreeing to lower your book price to 99 cents for a few days, maybe more than once a year? And how does that relate to your overall marketing plan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great way to get people who wouldn't necessarily buy the book to say, wait a minute, I could try this. Because I find that what happens is, if, just like Amanda had said, if we sometimes they'll buy the ebook and then they'll actually want a hard copy. And we have similar types of books where there's exercises, there's things that you might want to write in. So to have the ebook, that's a little bit more challenging. But if then they go buy a hard copy, that's great. Or if they like to listen on Audible, they can get my book on Audible as well. And I found that happens too.
Of course, it's like a loss leader, is like some
Mhm.
bigger companies would say that. I remember walking into like I don't know, it was a Kinko's, Staples, one of those places, and the um print paper, like they come in a box, it was so cheap. It was like $1.99 for a case, something silly. And I remember thinking, yeah, that would get all of us in the room. Like, we're here to get
Mhm.
that paper.
Mhm.
And while I'm there, oh, look, there's a chair. I do need a new chair for my office. I'm spending like
Yes.
$250 on a chair. And I came in for $1.99 sale on paper. So similarly, I have had the experience too, just like the two of you, that people get the Kindle book. And then I've actually just started to see this. The sale, I actually hold back the paperback sale for until basically until my launch day. And so my launch team didn't have access to it, but I'm starting to see that those sales are ticking up. And a lot of those people, a lot of those early sales are actually from people who already have the ebook. Amanda, how about you? Like, how did you wrap your head around the idea of dropping your book to 99 cents, committing to be part of this Kindle sales promotion? And what are your thoughts about being part of like an author community like this?
Well, I came from a retail background, so I know that, you do the buy one get one free, or the special flash sales. So for me, it's a opportunity to, make some more noise again, and to get it out in front of people that, oh, I forgot that. I forgot to order that, kind of thing. So I think the flash sale is a really good marketing piece because it gets it out in front. And like I'm sure Marcia has it in her book as well as you, there's ways of contacting us other ways, and it will just lead into other opportunities. So I'm okay with that, doing the flash sale. And because of all the graphics and so on, mine doesn't go down to 99 cents. It's $1.99, but people are still buying it, and I really saw, I'm watching it, how it's ticking, and to see if it's really a viable opportunity. But I do feel it is, because I feel like doing that 2-3 times a year just gets another spurt.
Yeah. And Marcia, I think you also have something to add because your book also has like a tie-in with your business. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that piece.
Yeah, I wrote a workbook also. And then what Amazon will let you do is put a series title on your book. And so I wanted to mention that I now have a series title called Wealth Reimagined. So if people pull up the book, especially during a 99-cent flash sale, they would also see that there was a workbook attached to it. So that's something else that will help to get more people to see what you're doing.
That's brilliant. Yeah. The advice I gotten years and years ago is if you want to sell book number 1, you publish books 2 and 3. So I think, Marcia, you cheated the system a little bit by getting a workbook in there. But I do think like those kinds of bundles, having a series, giving people more value, also having the opt-ins and all of that. Now, Marcia, earlier you talked about how in the coinciding with the launch of your book, you also had some speaking opportunities. I'd love to hear how you're leveraging having a book as a speaker. How do you build it into pricing? When does it come up as a conversation? Are people buying the book in bulk? Are you selling the back of the room? Like, I mean, having a book as a speaker is such a great asset, but not all speakers know how to leverage it. So what's been your experience?
Well, selling the books in the back of the room is kind of for the birds. I'm just going to say, only because you usually have to lug the books around, bring the books. You have to have somebody else there to help you selling the books. They have to figure out how they're going to pay for the books. There's a lot of logistics involved, and all of those things can be overcome, but it's a lot more work than just getting up on stage and speaking. I found that if I'm going to speak, then I either want the people who are having me there to speak buy the books in advance for everyone, or that I find a sponsor who would then sponsor the books, and so that people can get them. I also found that people will be like, oh, that's really great. Oh, I have to pay for the book? Oh, yeah, no thanks. And so like all of a sudden they're not quite as interested if they have to pay for it. But if it's given to them, now they're very excited about it. You can sign it. They're even more excited to have a signed copy. They're more inclined to put it on social media with their picture because they got a book signed by an author. So they think that's kind of cool. So all of those things are, I think, the best way to go.
Those are great marketing tips about this. I have like a unwritten rule that I won't sit and sign copies in my hotel room the night before. My first book was a book about networking at conferences, so I spoke at a lot of conferences in the process of getting that book out there, and people were buying it in bulk. And I said, yeah, I won't do that. But I made a bookmark that one side had basically my signature with my little tagline. And I said, either I can print these or you can co-brand them and I'll give you the template and then you can print them and then it'll have your branding. And so we did that a bunch of times. And I always had a Sharpie in my pocket. So after my talk, while we were mingling, because it's a book about networking, I would, as I was talking to you, I would have taken your book and be like, oh, Marcia. And I would just start signing it while we were chatting. And that way I wasn't sitting behind a desk. I wasn't sitting in my hotel room with stacks of books. I mean, I have friends who literally I was sitting there signing like 500 copies of a book the night before. I'm like, I don't want to do that. It sounds so glamorous until you do it. And you're like, yeah, I don't know. Amanda, I'm excited for you and what comes next to your book and the fact that people are coming into your world through this book and learning more about you and your process. I'd love to hear some success stories. And the way I frame this question is to answer this question of like, because I'm an author, like, how would you finish that sentence? Like, have certain doors or opportunities come your way, getting on podcasts, selling your book in bulk, like, or whatever it might be. how would you answer the because I'm an author?
Well, it kind of goes back to the whole thing of because I'm an author, there is a sense of credibility and a sense of, I don't know, I just really watched how people viewed me in a whole different way and viewed the work in a whole different way. And so I think that's, because I'm an author, the credibility and the expertise of me being someone that's both a has that corporate background, but then now has brought in that spiritual woo into life and business and relationships is palatable for people, and they want to know how to do it. They want to get that grounded centeredness in and connected to themselves in a whole different way.
Yeah, it is interesting how quickly having a book makes you this credible expert because you took the time to do a really hard thing that a lot of people think about, but very few follow through on. But it also, I mean, in writing a book, I wonder if you found this, Amanda. Did you end up like crystallizing your ideas even more? I mean, you said you had a lot of content
Absolutely.
to work with, but yeah, there was a whole, right? It becomes like an exploration of the topic. For me, I also found for all the books I've written, there's always been some quotes or some statistics that I had been talking about in all of my speeches or on podcast interviews. And when I went to find the origin, you dig and you dig and you dig and you're like, everyone's quoting each other. Like, why is
Yeah.
there what's the origin sort? Like, and then you're like, is this just what is this number? And then you dig and you dig and you dig and you dig and you dig. And it's a guy on LinkedIn who did a LinkedIn newsletter. And that's what everyone is quoting as being a LinkedIn stat. I'm like, no. It's a guy with a LinkedIn newsletter. Like, so yeah, but I think that's part of becoming an expert is that you really learn your topic. Marsha,
Well,
what
and
about you?
I think being part of a co-author book,
Yeah.
that really helped me solidify and crystallize my message, my story, and really own who I am and own what I bring to the table and and the results that my clients get. They're more confident, they trust themselves, they have lives that are better than when they started. They start new businesses or they upgrade their businesses. So, there's this whole amazing process. And I think all of us have gone through that as we're writing our own stories. But as we're writing the book, there's so much that comes in that we know people need to hear and want to hear and would like the guidance. I love what Marsha's doing with the angel investing. There's so many people. I'm clicking down Marsha like, okay, I gotta introduce Marsha to this person, this person, this person.
That's another byproduct of these Kindle flash sales. These
Exactly.
authors we meet. Hey, thank you for that, Amanda. I love this for you so much. Marsha, how have you seen being an author change things for you? Like, how would you answer the because I'm an author prompt?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I'll agree with Amanda related to credibility. I've been really lucky, though this is my first book, it's won 9 awards already, and 2 of them were for the audiobook. So that I was like, oh, okay, like I'm pretty proud of that. And that's helped to also, level up the credibility. And then most recently, I won an award for the Fuel Her Fire for the Financial Architect Award, which was like kind of a surprise, but at the same time, I think the book really helped with that as well.
Oh, brilliant. I love it. Marsha, what advice would you give someone who's writing a book to help them grow a business? Any bits of wisdom?
Well, I know a lot of times people think, well, I shouldn't really tell too much that's in the book. I want them to buy the book or I want them to take the course. And I found it's kind of the opposite. The more you talk about things and the more you tell people, the more they actually are drawn then to what you're doing. And they want to hear it from you. They want to come to your course. They want to come to read your book or listen to the audiobook or whatever the story is. I think the more you talk about it, the better. It's not like you're trying to keep a secret and think that they're going to come by the secret.
Right. Oh gosh, I wish it worked. It's like, shh, I'm not going to tell you what's in this. It's
Right.
very intriguing. Don't buy this book. It's got secrets in it. Yeah, it doesn't really work. I actually, as a little aside, I joined one of these like KDP Facebook groups that are just like tons of authors. Most of them are not entrepreneurs, all kinds of authors, and they're complaining all the time about reviews. And so I had to work really hard to get my post even approved because it's a huge group and they don't want people selling. And I'm like, well, they're like, well, you can share your enthusiasm as an author. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing that. So I shared my launch day post about I hit 200 reviews and all the success I'd had. And then no one's reading the title of my book. They're like, oh, so how much did you pay for those? I can't afford that. I'm like, literally, this is a book about how, like, they just, even when I'm like, here are the results, and this is the book that can show you how to get these results, they're like, I don't trust this. I don't believe it. I'm like, it's 99 cents.
Right.
Like, but I think mental blocks, like a lot of people need you to really walk them through. Like I calmly answered like this woman's questions 4 times. And I finally was like, just curious, like, why haven't you bought the book? She came back with, oh my God, I just read the subtitle. So I'm like, oh, okay, great. You can go read the book. Amanda, any advice you'd have for people who are writing a book to help them grow their business?
Well, I think that's exactly what Marcia was saying too, is, I have the Evolve Your All program, the fifth dimension mentorship program. And I was like, oh, am I going to be sharing too many things in the book? But actually what's ended up happening is I'll be on a event and I'll say, yeah, so we have this and we have, you can go and actually get mentorship with me with this book. And so you can read the book. That's great. But there's so much in this. And I'm sure both of you agree, when you have the book, there's so much more in depth people can get with our subject matters.
100%. I was really excited by the early response. My book has only been out. I uploaded it 3 weeks ago from when we are taping this. So the early response has been amazing. Kind of to Marsha's point, the earlier response was from people who were kind of, drank the Kool-Aid, to use that horrible phrase from the horrible thing that happened to those people. But they were kind of a little more inner circle. But not all those people like even realized this was a thing they needed to know. I think that's what our books are doing. We're waking people up to what's possible. Amanda, how can people find you and follow your work?
Yeah, so they can go on co-createyoursuccess.com. Again, co-createyoursuccess.com, just like in my title. Awesome. And so check out the website. There's lots of offers that we have where you can just begin and really, easy to say yes to. And we have a free gift called Manifest Your All, a manifestation template from the Diamond Code Creative System to really help you manifest the life and the business that you want. And so it's really, the website is just chock full of opportunities and possibilities.
We're going to put all these links, including links to your book, your website. I also have your LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube, all at bizbookpubhub.com. Marcia, how can people find you and follow your work?
Everything is on my website, which is my name, marciadawood.com. And there you can also get a download of the first chapter of the book for free. And there's lots of other free resources as well, in addition to podcast playlists. So I have over 140 podcast episodes now. And I found that people would be like, well, wait a minute. We'd like to listen to things about, let's say, equity crowdfunding, which I mentioned at the beginning. So they can go to my website and they can actually find which episodes pertain to that, which episodes pertain to women in business. That
very cool. Yeah. I love giving people different ways into the backlog of content. That's really smart. We're going to have your links, the website, bizbookpubhub.com. I have your LinkedIn, your website, your podcast, your TEDx, which is awesome. Congratulations. And of course, your book. By the way, at bizbookpubhub.com, folks, you're going to also find show notes from these episodes I share every Tuesday and Thursday. So much great, valuable content. Our experts and our authors have been so generous in sharing their author journey about their ROI of writing a business to writing a book to help them grow their business. And we've got the Kindle flash sale, of course, going on. So you'll learn about either finding that or joining our upcoming Kindle flash sales that happen 3 times a year. Every month, I host a virtual happy hour, virtual networking events for writers, authors, and speakers. And I don't know, there's so much information there, including a whole directory of experts waiting to help you write your book. I want to thank our panel one more time for being here. Thank you so much. And thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie.
Yay. Clear. Almost clear. Nope, we didn't end yet. All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.